Aja Wilson was already known as one of the most dominant forces in the WNBA, but when Caitlin Clark inked her groundbreaking Europe deal, something in Wilson just clicked, like a switch had been flipped. The two stars had already carved out their names in basketball history, but that deal? That was the spark that lit the competitive fire under Wilson like never before. And it was in the following games where Wilson truly went nuts, tearing through the WNBA record books as if they were made of paper. She didn't just break records, she shredded them with a smile on her face, showing that when she gets motivated, the rest of the league better buckle up. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. The moment Caitlin Clark secured her Europe contract, it was the talk of the town, both sides of the Atlantic in fact. An NCAA star going global, signing a deal that challenged everything the WNBA was used to. That sent ripples through the league, particularly to someone like Aja, who had long been the face of the WNBA's steady rise. For Wilson, this wasn't just business as usual. It felt personal, almost like Clark had stepped into her territory. Even though Clark wasn't even in the league yet, but Aja, being who she is, didn't talk about it in interviews. She didn't post cryptic tweets or take passive-aggressive jabs. She let her game speak for her, and boy, did it talk. Loudly. Wilson's next few performances after the Clark deal were something out of a basketball fever dream. She played with the kind of intensity you'd see in a kid who just found out their big sibling got more candy. Every possession, every rebound, every block, she was relentless. Aja's timing on defense was so precise that you'd think she had developed some kind of sixth sense. It was like she knew exactly where her opponents were going to move before they even thought about it themselves. But it wasn't just her defense that stole the spotlight. Wilson's offensive game, already known for its power and finesse, hit another gear. She was hitting shots from everywhere, dominating the paint, sinking free throws like she was playing in her driveway. Her scoring streak became the stuff of legend. Game after game, she poured in points, often hitting 40 and making it look like she was casually shooting hoops at the park. The opposing teams were throwing everything they had at her, double-teaming her, rotating defenders, trying to throw her off rhythm. But it was like trying to stop a hurricane with a paper towel. Wilson didn't just rise to the occasion, she devoured it. She made a statement with every shot, every defensive stop, and every time she pushed the pace down the court. The message was clear. This was her house, and Caitlin Clark, with all her accolades and shiny new deal, was going to have to earn her place in this league eventually. If you think this was all about basketball, though, you'd be mistaken. Aja Wilson is a character in her own right. Known for her infectious personality and humor off the court, she has always been able to blend business with fun. During this particular stretch, when she was tearing the league apart, she still found ways to keep things light. She'd block a shot and flash a playful smile, as if to say, "Did you really think that was going to work?" Then there were the moments after a particularly tough shot when she jogged back down the court with a grin that said, "I could do this all day." The fans loved it. It wasn't just that she was playing out of her mind. It was that she was enjoying every second of it. She was showing that being at the top of your game didn't mean you had to lose your personality. In fact, her personality became part of the show. The record books, though, they were a different story. Wilson's numbers in those games were staggering. She didn't just rack up points, she was doing it in ways that made statisticians scratch their heads. Rebounds, she was grabbing them like someone who didn't trust anyone else with the job. Assists, she was setting up teammates with no-look passes, threading the needle through defenders like a magician. By the time people started counting, Wilson had already set a new standard for what it meant to dominate in the WNBA. What made her streak so memorable wasn't just the raw stats, but how she did it. There's a certain style that Aja plays with, one that's hard to replicate. She combines strength with grace, raw power with a smooth shooting touch, and a basketball IQ that's off the charts. During this particular run, every part of her game seemed to be on display. You could see her setting up plays like a chess grandmaster, always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. And it wasn't just about scoring. She knew when to pass, when to crash the boards, when to step up defensively. It was like watching a masterclass in basketball fundamentals wrapped in sheer athletic brilliance. It's one thing to break records, but to do it with such flair? That's what separates the greats from the legends. And that's where Wilson was headed, into legendary territory. It became clear that this wasn't just a hot streak, it was a declaration. Aja was letting the world know that the WNBA was hers, that no matter who came up, whether it was Clark or anyone else, they'd have to deal with her first. It wasn't arrogance. It was confidence born from years of being at the top, knowing what it took to stay there, and realizing that she still had more to give. And let's not forget the fans. If anyone was enjoying this run as much as Wilson, it was the people watching her. Every time she stepped onto the court, there was a sense of anticipation, like something magical could happen at any moment. Fans were glued to their screens or on the edge of their seats in arenas, waiting to see what she'd do next. And Wilson, ever the entertainer, gave them their money's worth. Whether it was a buzzer beater, a chase-down block, or an ankle-breaking crossover, she kept them cheering, laughing, and shaking their heads in disbelief. It was the kind of performance that transcends the game itself, the kind that turns casual viewers into lifelong fans. As Wilson continued her assault on the record books, the implications for the league were profound. The WNBA had always been searching for its next big moment, the kind of breakthrough that would push it even further into the mainstream sports conversation. Wilson's performance provided exactly that. It wasn't just that she was setting records. It was how she was doing it, with swagger, with skill, and with an unmistakable joy that made everyone watching feel like they were part of something special. The league had never seen anything quite like it, and suddenly, all eyes were on the WNBA. For the players watching from the sidelines or on TV, Wilson's dominance was both inspiring and intimidating. She was raising the bar, setting a new standard for what it meant to be a superstar in the league. Players coming up knew they had to bring their A game, not just to compete, but to even think about catching up to what Aja was doing. And that was the thing. Wilson wasn't just setting records. She was creating a blueprint for what the future of the league could look like. Fast-paced, high-scoring, intense, and unapologetically fun. Aja's performances also sparked new conversations around the league's potential growth, its stars, and its place in the larger sports world. With Wilson leading the charge, it was clear that the WNBA had all the ingredients it needed to be a major force in professional sports. There was already talk about TV deals, bigger marketing campaigns, and ways to grow the fan base. If anything, Wilson's record-shredding streak made it clear that the product on the court was more than enough to keep people interested. Now it was just a matter of getting more eyes on it. In the end, Aja Wilson's response to Caitlin Clark's Europe deal wasn't about Clark at all. It was about Wilson showing the world what she was capable of. It was about her stepping up to the plate and delivering, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. It was about her reminding everyone that while other players might come and go, she was here to stay, and she was going to make sure everyone remembered that. Her streak may have ended at some point, as all streaks do, but the impact it left, that was permanent. It's one thing to be a great player, but it's another to transcend the game, to make people care not just about what happens on the court, but about the story behind it. Aja Wilson, with her charisma, skill, and determination, had done exactly that. In the wake of Clark's Europe deal, she had taken the WNBA and turned it into her personal playground, rewriting the rules and forcing everyone to pay attention. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.